The original containers are not made to store readily. So I have saran wrap holding these in position. The reason they should stay there is they all need to be going the same direction because you don't want positives touching negative terminals on batteries because of dangers. And they just need to be cool dry. Some people store them in the freezer or the refrigerator. That's probably a little bit of a fallacy because they need to be dry. And there's high humidity in most freezer dryer or refrigerator. But anyway, if you've stored them, has anybody stored them in their freezer or the fridge? Okay, that is a possibility. Batteries are alkaline or lithium. They just work a bit differently. The lithium batteries are about 5 times more expensive. They last 8 to 10 times longer, and they're very lightweight. And as you know, you can't mail them. Nothing lithium can go in the U.S. Postal Service. So it's up to you what you want. Now, one of the hazards with this, and I have a great example. Okay, my sister, who's a great recycler, helped my brother dismantle his whole house for a move. She put every battery she found to recycle in probably a plastic bag. Is that a good idea? Well, as it turns out, I have a picture to show you. And it's, but, oh yeah, she's been on TV telling about it. Anyway, so she took her recycling batteries home, and we'll pass this around. You can look at the photos to get them recycled because she's good at doing that. Well, she woke up one morning and went out, and the interior of her brand new, beautiful car was totally incinerated. We're grateful the windows were up. Terminals had touched each other. Most likely to have battery that has both terminals right there together. So had she known, she could have covered the terminals with tape, and that would prevent this from happening. But fortunately, the windows were up. There was no oxygen for the fire. It melted. You'll see things just melted. It was incredible. And we're so glad because she would have slept through it. If her garage had caught on fire, who knows what could have all happened. So we're grateful, but that's a good lesson. So I want to pass this around. Be sure that you store them properly. They need to stay nice and tidy like this, not all mixed together somewhere. Okay? Any question on batteries? We all use them. Yeah, yeah. And now my husband, he knew that all along. I didn't. Yeah, you got to be careful. So anyway, my sister lived through that experience, and you're welcome to pass this around.
They're not in order.
Okay, we can arrange for that. Okay. Okay, it was because she had a whole Ziploc bag. I keep moving around. My head's cut off. I would notice that. Okay, she had put all the batteries she could find that she'd taken out of different appliances. And by the way, you shouldn't leave batteries in things you're not using at the time. Equipment should be stored without the batteries inside. Okay, anyway, where were we? Oh, the fire was caused because she had a whole bunch of batteries, negatives and positive terminals hit each other, started to emit electricity and ignited the batteries, the back of the batteries, and ignited the inside of her car. Okay, so there's word to the caution. And that's all I know about batteries. Does anybody have a comment?
Mm-mm.
The batteries in your flashlight, and of course, it would be better not to store them in your flashlight, and we all do. Flashlight you're using all the time. I don't think taking the batteries in now is very helpful. Lithium batteries are also a lot of the tiny little lightweight batteries that are in our cameras, phones, and other digital equipment. And they last forever. They don't need to be replaced very long or very often, excuse me. What happened in my sister's situation was a short circuit. The electrical energy generated ignited all the batteries, and then the fire went wild. Okay, so we do store them dark, cool, low humidity. Never in a haphazard fashion like your teenagers. Okay. All right. And the other thing I'm kind of excited about, is solar. When I was let's have an order project for anybody that wants to order these. And I don't know if we can hit the lights. Can we turn the lights off? All right. These sit where our plants are, where Bruce's plants are growing. And when we want light, just in an emergency, and they're if you need them. And we gave them for Christmas to our kids a long time ago. So you just leave them. This is the little solar panel, and the sunlight just goes through these holes and keeps it charged.
Well, I carry those in my backpack. They're awesome.
Yes, and you can deflate them. They come deflated. An emergency light.
Even if you keep them in your car out at night and stuff, you can lay them down the road and stuff.
I was going to deflate this for
In case you're
you.
in an accident.
Yeah, they come all nice and flat. That's going to take a while, but
Got it sweet.
that's a solar lantern. I don't know.
When I'm back,
And on your backpack.
and
Okay.
I've left it actually in my backpack.
This can change a family's lifestyle, you know. But we're fortunate we have light at our fingertips. The other solar, there's also developing a variety of little chargers that you can put on your backpack or store somewhere to charge your telephone, which is really handy. They're not particularly expensive when I looked them up. And then the other question is, if you were to have a generator, that would be great, but that requires fuel. And we would need generators for an emergency if we do not have electricity to run the generator or other fuel to run the generator. So I kind of looked to see what kind of solar you could get to like run your refrigerator if you lose power for 3 weeks, you know, to keep your freezer. Well, it sounds like it's a big rigmarole, and a lot of them come with these big panels. You know, the solar panels that were for sale for $22,000 down on the dam road. Did you all see those? They're now in another neighborhood that I go to. Still $20,000. Thank you. Everybody saw the destroyed console.
That's what that trailer cost.
Oh, you know, I'm not sure that the solar generator is anything we want to at least invest in anytime soon, or that it would be that useful, because it takes an awful lot to run a refrigerator for 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
Costco.
That, you know, so it's whatever. We're gonna choose that light.
Talk about the storage units, the batteries and stuff, get better all the time. So just now with the new innovation on solar.
And solar might end up being our friend. Okay, speaking of solar, I purchased a sun oven about 5 or 6 years ago for an emergency. We just tried it this week. Yes. So thank you, Sister Funk. We've tried the sun oven, and we had pretty good success. But we did, our meatloaf did not get to temperature. It was on Monday when we had that clouds all day. Oh no, that was the beans. The beans for chili did pretty good. They were the hard beans and cold water starting right out. And then the meatloaf was Tuesday, and I'll tell you, the meatloaf looked beautiful, but it didn't get up to temperature. So both of our endeavors, we finished off in the oven. They were great success using the two things. We'll get better, or the weather will be a little better. But yeah. So yeah, I mean, you could dry fruit in it. This is another neat thing. Is it has racks that come, you can dry your fruit, your tomato slices, whatever, if you were interested in doing that. And so there's some brochures here you can look at. They're cooking quiche and other things. And what you have to do, though, part of why our meatloaf didn't make is we went shopping for 2 hours. You have to turn this every 30 to 60 minutes. And what you do to make sure you're getting the full sun rays hitting it, you keep the little shadows. You stand back here and you make sure the shadow being cast here, shadow being cast here. And you know you're focusing all the sun's rays right on here. And it is bright and hot when you're close to it. You have to be careful not to be burned. And let me see if I can show you. It comes with a beautiful, comes with the red pan here and the drying racks. But and there, flip this down. Yeah, you try not to open it. And anyway, it was fun, and we're gonna get good at it. Now I'll tell you, Yeah, I should have started out with some things hot. You just have to wipe out the condensation. You get a lot of condensation and water. If it would cut your hand,
Yes.
it's pretty safe. Yeah, and the wind is another issue we have this week. But anyway, we are now on a lot of things, you know, more after you've done it. When you're finished than when you start. Okay, so solar, that's all I have to say on that. And then I do want to talk about candles. This is what happens when you store them in your garage. Has a nice flat side. I have a box of old candles I've been tempted to throw away for years. Glenna says, oh, don't throw them away. But brothers and sisters, this is a bayberry candle. Now, when we were newlyweds, we did a bayberry candle every Christmas. And I'm just, anybody want to come and try and light my candles? These candles, these are at least 20 years old. This was in the heyday when you could rig a little rack over this and warm your can of soup, whatever. So let's see if these light. And the bayberry will enjoy this. How old is this one? It's a paraffin one, I'm pretty sure. Oh, I don't know. Back when we lived on, might have gotten those when we lived in Granger. It has a cotton wick. We'll see if we can get things going. And I don't even know if we can unwrap the bayberry one, but anyway. Then I will keep working on that. I am sorry. Have some of that. So much for the candles, but they are useful to read something. You'll see how it goes there.
You know, I have candles that they are in a glass jar and they're in a box. They're about this big around and they just sit and I use them. They still work.
Well, we'll see how those work in a minute. Okay, I did want to tell you that the most non-toxic candle would be made out of organic beeswax. And that is the ideal one. The beeswax are probably a lot harder to come by and a little more expensive. You do not want to burn a lot of candles. Personally, I think that's important because depending what they're made of, they can be toxic. The stuff that is given off from some of them, for example, if you have old wicks that have lead or zinc in them, those particulates go into your air. Then there are also safety concerns with just the fire hazards of having them run all the time. And children, pets, and then the candles that are just oil that will keep the flame going. There have been children ingest that thinking it's something to drink. So you've got to be really careful in high traffic areas or whatever, what you're doing with your candles. And a lot of homes have gone down from fancy candles that people left going and went to sleep. That happened in our neighborhood in South Georgia. And so things like soy, paraffin give off, if I tell you, you'll go, ooh, formaldehyde and acetaldehyde and toluene and benzene, which are carcinogens. So you want to be careful. You don't want them if they're made out of palm, soy, or paraffin, which most candles are going to be somewhat like that. So just be cautious about your candles. People who have allergies, asthma, and then you don't want the carcinogens, you don't want the heart and lung issues that would develop over a long time. Now, of course, that would be burning the candles all the time. So enjoy them, use them carefully. You'll need a lighter or matches or perseverance. And
They
I
still work. If it's not 20 years old.
So-
Still, hey, you got a deal yet.
So you can put a rack over this and warm your can of soup or whatever, have light. So store a few candles, guys. Thank you. Yes.
I have heard. And more. Jack,